Mystery religions became popular throughout Rome because of the Roman people's unwillingness to accept the failing Roman pantheon. The mystery cults and the deities offered Roman people the belief and prospect of a possibly better afterlife. The idea of an afterlife was not a common belief in traditional Roman religions and was rejected by much of the Roman aristocrats. Thus, the cults of mystery religions particularly appealed to women, slaves, and freedmen who did not live a life as free and luxurious as the freeborn. However, this is not to say that some of the elite Romans were not part of mystery cults as well. As we will learn, the two most prominent mystery cults were Bacchus and Isis, two of the three cults we will be focusing on today in our video. We will learn why mystery cults became so popular, with one scholar saying, any religion with elaborate rituals and mysteries promising salvation in afterlife would naturally help the politically and socially underprivileged escape the miseries of their daily life. We are excited for you to learn more about this interesting topic.
The Villa of Mysteries is located on the outskirts of Pompeii and is a very well-preserved villa that was excavated from the ruins of Pompeii starting in 1909. The villa receives its name from the perplexing second-style wall paintings we see in one of the rooms, which we believe to be a triclinium. Scholars cannot definitively tell what exactly is happening within these wall paintings, but a common theory is that this is a depiction of a religious rite, possibly an initiation ceremony into the cult of Dionysus for a woman about to go into marriage. The god Dionysus, also known as Bacchus or Liber Pater, is the god of wine and ecstasy as he is most known for. He is also a nature god of fruitfulness and vegetation. In Roman literature, Dionysus is seen as a jolly god who gives the Romans an excuse to drink a lot at drinking parties and celebrate during Bacchanalia or Dionysia. However, this lovely holiday was prohibited by the Senate in 186 BCE, but of course was still practiced. Livy, a Roman historian who lived from 59 BC to 17 AD, gives his view on the cult of Dionysus. He said that the religion was laced with the pleasures of wine and feasting, and after their judgments and minds were clouded, he said that everyone had ready to hand the pleasure suited to gratifying the most susceptible side of his or her nature. In addition to the people of this cult being sexually promiscuous, Livy goes on to speak about them committing violent crimes and murders. This cult was obviously not well liked by the Roman government, so it had to hide in small places like the Villa of Mysteries in order to not be seen as a threat to the government. The wall paintings in the triclinium are second-style bond frescoes with some secco fresco on top. Secco fresco is a dry plaster type of fresco that was used to put on some finishing detail on top of the already completed wall painting. They are painted in second style, showing the life-size figures receding into the architectural elements. These paintings are supposed to be read as a narrative, starting with a woman who could be an initiate or a bride walking through the door and approaching a nude boy reading from a scroll, and a priestess behind him who also carries a scroll and pen. The woman next to them is thought to be the former initiate, who is in different clothing and carrying an ornamental cake. In the next scene, the priestess is looking into the ceremonial basket while the female attendant pours some water. Also in this scene, to the right, is an old and tipsy-looking Silenus, who's a companion of Dionysus, playing the lyre on a column. In the third scene, a satyr plays panpipes, while the nymph feeds a goat, next to the initiate who looks shocked and frightened by what is happening in the next scene. From there, Silenus looks annoyed with the startled initiate, as he is holding up a silver bowl that one of the satyrs is peering into while another holds up a theatrical mask that strangely looks like Silenus. Next to them, in the center of the triclinium walls, lies a reclined Dionysus. He is resting his head on his dead mother Semele's lap, or in some interpretations it's Ariadne, and they are embracing. To the right of them is the initiate, kneeling on the ground with a staff in her hand, reaching for a covered object that is speculated to be a phallus. Next to her is a winged woman who is about to whip the initiate, whose head is cradled in the lap of a nurse who is comforting her. This symbolizes torture and transfiguration, a necessary step to the completion of the rites. Next to them is a nude woman who is celebrating her completion of the rites. And finally, in the subsequent scene, the initiate or bride is having her hair braided and preparing for marriage.
One of the best preserved temples in Pompeii is the Temple of Isis. Temple of Isis was found during some of the first excavations that occurred in Pompeii in 1764. It was built in the 2nd century BCE. When the temple was found, tourists and historians were infatuated with the unusualness of finding an Egyptian-style temple in Italy. The temple was made in honor of the Egyptian goddess Isis, who we will learn more about soon. The Temple of Isis is located in the theater district behind the large theater. Back in Roman times, Mary Beard claims, quote, "The temple was hidden from the street by a high curtain wall, broken by a single main entrance up 2 steps and with a large wooden door," end quote. An inscription set over the main entrance of the temple says it was restored following the earthquake of 62 AD. According to translations transcribed in Latin in the book Pompeii, a source book by Allison E. Cooley and M.G. Cooley, the inscription in the temple reads, quote, "Numerus Pompeius Celcinius, son of Numerus, rebuilt at his own expense from its foundations the Temple of Isis, which had collapsed in an earthquake because of his generosity. Although he was only 6 years old, the town councilors nominated him into their number free of charge," end quote, unquote. With Professor Rollins, the earthquake of 62 AD notable damage throughout Pompeii, but money was put into restoring this magnificent at the expense of Numerus Pompeius Celcinius. There having been an ex-slave and now a freeman, made him unable to become a member of the local council. But having the temple following the earthquake in his son's name ensures that his son, at one point in his life, involved in politics, a higher social hierarchy than his own father. This was a common trend by freedmen to help get their sons into a better social hierarchy than they once had. Now we will provide a little background on the cult of Isis and the origins of the religion. According to Mary Beard in her book, The Fires of Vesuvius, she says, quote, "The cult of Isis was by far the most prominent of these religions at Pompeii, was the worship of Isis and other Egyptian deities," end quote. The cult of Isis arrived in Pompeii largely due to the spread of the Roman Empire throughout Egypt. In addition, many scholars argue that the popularity of the mystery religion was on the rise due to the failing acceptance of the traditional Roman pantheon. In the Egyptian mythology, Isis brings her husband Osiris back to life after he was killed and dismembered by his brother Seth. According to the myth, afterwards Isis put his body back together and went on to become pregnant with their child named Horus. Mary Beard refers to Isis bringing her husband back to life as, quote, "the one crucial element," end quote, of the religion that led to widespread appeal of this cult among the Roman people. Isis was popular throughout Pompeii, especially with the poor, because the cult promised resurrection and immortality. Roman people wanted to believe they would have an afterlife that promised a life better than the one that they would have now. The cult of Isis offered people a sense of relief knowing life could be better beyond this. In addition, according to Hiob, quote, "Isis was also considered to be a truly versatile goddess. She was queen of the gods, protector and mother of pharaohs, goddess of agriculture, rain, wind, spinning, weaving, and goddess of magic and healing," end quote. She's a very impressive goddess. In addition, according to the Coolies in the Pompeian Herculaneum, a source book, the popularity of the cult became known to historians upon excavations throughout Pompeii that showed statuettes of Isis and several cult rattles found in private houses. In addition, quote, "some 20 household shrines or lorarias were decorated with images of Isis, and several individuals donated statuettes within the sanctuary enclosure. Finding these statuettes and images of Isis throughout Pompeii signified the popularity of this religion during that time."